there will be no surprise. Hundreds of thousands of Israeli troops are there waiting for the order. And there will be a violent confrontation, and people will die on both sides.
And his name will forever be associated with the quest for peace between the Palestinians and the State of Israel. Yossi Beilin is considered the architect of the 30-year-old Oslo Accords between Israel and the Palestinian Liberation Organization. Beilin opened a secret communication channel with the PLO and later worked with Mahmoud Abbas, the current Palestinian leader, to outline a definitive peace agreement. The Oslo Accords were a pivotal milestone in Israeli-Palestinian relations. They were aimed at propelling the peace process forward and providing for the expansion of Palestinian self-rule throughout most of the West Bank. Now, he remains committed to trying to find peace, but does he think that option is viable given the ongoing Israel-Hamas war? Well, let's ask him. Delighted to welcome to the programme Yossi Beilin. Yossi, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So, what do you make of where we are today? The sort of three interesting pieces of news are that 2 hostages have been released. A few aid trucks look like they might be getting through. And of course, we're having this summit in Egypt of world leaders. What do you think is going on right now, Yossi?
Well, the big thing for me personally is that I believe it is for the first time that I find myself without a real alternative for a violent confrontation with the other side. And in that case, it is Hamas. What happened 2 weeks ago was totally crazy. Totally crazy. It is not the usual situation. You have enemies, you have a war, you can compromise, you can have a solution, you may have peace. This is ISIS. I mean, they don't want anything which is logical from you or from anybody else. I mean, they are there, they want to get back to the medievals, to have an Islamic kingdom or whatever, and they don't want a Palestinian state, they don't want to partition the land. And for us, apparently the only way to put an end to the rule of Gaza, which was taken by force from the Palestinian Authority in 2007, is to confront them on the ground. And, it is to think about it. Everybody knows it. There will be no surprise. Hundreds of thousands of Israeli troops are there waiting for the order. And there will be a violent confrontation, and people will die on both sides. And it is very sad. It's very sad. But I don't see an alternative to get rid of the rule of the Hamas in Gaza. And this is a must. They cannot continue and be there.
Mm. And look, in the 2 weeks that have passed since these, as you say, these sickening atrocities that were committed by Hamas, we're 2 weeks on from that. How do you think the mood has shifted in those 2 weeks?
First of all, I think that we needed some days in order to understand what happened to us until we understood that babies were beheaded. And you can't understand it. And then the dimensions, the thousands of people, the casualties, the kidnapping of women and old people and babies, you don't understand what it is. It's not only civilians who were somehow who found themselves in the middle of violence. This is something much more than that. So the feeling is very gloomy. The feeling is that the government was not there to protect the citizens. The army was not there to protect the citizens. And it will have, of course, endless ramifications in the morning after. The other thing is that, as expected, in the first few days, the world was with us, because when the world saw the pictures, the instinctive reaction was to support Israel. Later on, when Israel reacted by bombing areas in Gaza. The world said, "How come that this is your reaction?" And there is now an anti-Israeli mood in some of the countries. And Israelis are saying, "How come that you are demonstrating against us? Are you crazy? I mean, we are the victims, and you are demonstrating against us." And those demonstrators are saying, with all due respect, you went through something very bad, but why are you going to get the innocent citizens? So we find ourselves in usual tragedy. And the usual tragedy is this one. All the parties are right.
Yes.
In a comedy, they are all wrong.
And look, Yossi, you know, you've articulated very well your words just there. The usual tragedy, as has been the case between Israelis and Palestinians for such a long time, arguably two, you know, very wronged people that have had a history of tragedy and a lot of bloodshed. You have spent so much of your life trying to negotiate peace. Is there any way to think about peace after all of this? How is peace going to be possible? Do you think there's any chance of there ever being a resolution in this area?
There will be a resolution, and it is even now closer than before because of two main reasons. On the Palestinian side, one of the reasons why it was difficult to make peace was that there were splits since June 2007 between Hamas and Fatah. And whenever people like myself, with my Palestinian colleagues, would come to Europe or to the United States talking about the prospects for peace, people came to me and said, "Yossi, with all due respect, how can you make peace in the West Bank without Gaza, in Gaza without the West Bank? Will the Palestinian, Hamas talk to you ever?" And they don't. They won't talk to me. I tried to get to them. It was never possible. So now, if it happens, I mean, I'm not sure about it, but if it happens and Hamas will not rule Gaza, then Israel will have one address on the Palestinian side, as we had in Oslo. And with one address, it is, of course, much easier than with two addresses. On the Israeli side, I'm almost sure that the government of Netanyahu, who is not ready for a two-state solution, will not prevail after the war. So there will be another government of center left, hopefully, which will be ready for the two-state solution. And this is what we need. I mean, you have Abu Mazen is committed to the two-state solution as the president of the Palestinian people. On our side, the center left is committed to the two-state solution. And what you have now, which is a paradox, the government today, not officially, but unofficially, are saying that they would like to see the Palestinian Authority back in Gaza. So, I mean, after 30 years after Oslo, which they rejected all out, now they are begging the Palestinian Authority and the PLO to get back to Gaza after we get rid of the leadership of Hamas. And you see on the Palestinian side, on the PLO side, I would say quite a negative attitude towards this option.